Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
You want to fight?
Mm,
Okay, then we'll have a ceasefire.
not
Another
really.
Tuesday morning, a poem, a couple of songs about Tuesdays. You know, we've heard about some of those, right?
Yes.
Ever wonder where names like Tuesday come from? Well, I'm
Mm.
here to inform you.
Oh, please do.
Seems that Tuesday's name is actually English, and it comes from the Old English Twisdag, meaning Twisday. Twisday, also known as Tyr, Tyr, was the Anglo-Saxon name for the Norse god of war, courage, and law, who was equated with the Roman god Mars. Therefore, Tuesday actually is Mars Day or Tuesday. Yeah, doesn't do a whole lot for me.
Oh,
I suppose we should get a Mars bar today and declare war on Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. Good morning. I'm Rayford Brown.
good morning. I'm Lee Barrows.
And Kelly is be here in a minute or so, I think.
Yeah.
Do we have information? Anyway, whatever. Oh yeah, I don't even. I don't know who's on first. I know that who's not on second, because what's on second?
Most
And
confusing news
just,
day yesterday
it was
into last
fine
night.
until noon,
Yes.
and then from noon until probably now,
Right.
I made it through 1 o'clock. Thought I was up to speed, and then things changed again.
There were so many contradictions, so different many news media outlets. I didn't like you. I didn't know who was on first.
I don't.
I
I'm
didn't.
confused.
It was so confusing.
I really am in a la la land. I think
It was crazy.
it was one of the more really out yonder, disjointed, and you couldn't get all the information from any one channel because they didn't even agree with their own commentators didn't agree with each other.
No, they didn't.
What
And
we
I
should
heard
do
that
here
again
is
this morning.
you pick an angle, I'll pick an angle, and here's Kelly. She can pick a third angle, and we can all just give the facts.
One this
as we
morning
know 'em.
told the other one, "You've got your facts wrong," and
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my
I
gosh!"
just,
It was the most confusing mess last night. But I do know for certain
you think you know.
that missiles were fired because I watched it, because I watch a
They
channel
were,
that has live
was,
feeds.
That was old video.
Oh, I kept checking that just to make sure. I kept hitting the up button to see if it was showing live, and it was.
It's really.
And even the commentator, he kept pulling news statements from people there in Iran and Israel, news reporters and stuff.
Really, all
that
of
were
those
on the
sound
ground.
bites that you're watching. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
All of those sound bites that we saw, that you watched, we all have seen. We thought we saw what they were saying, right? It was all Jeff Dunham doing all the voices of all of the people on all of the newscasts
It was a mess.
that we saw last night.
It was a mess. Fox came out and had attacked one of our military bases over there. And then somebody for the White House came out and said, nobody's done anything. And then somebody else came out and said this. Then Reuters came out and said, no, that it was a mess.
And then there was the claim that Donald Trump came out and said, thank you for notifying us of those missiles that you shot at us. They called them in advance, according to some networks' complaint.
Yes, it was a mess.
Well, I made it through today so far without being attacked. I haven't been to war yet. Maybe y'all. I got mad at my TV. I didn't shoot it though.
I was about to throw
Ammo's
this
too
laptop
expensive.
out the door earlier, but we're good right now.
Mhm.
What's all that on there?
Oh, it's just this.
Is that us on?
Oh,
Stuff just interfering with us or trying
It's just, if you touch the mouse, it hits
It's
the
Iranian.
information page.
to. It's a radio. And I guess Trump is on his way to NATO. I don't think I'd be telling anybody that if I were in his shoes today. Or maybe he's lying or somebody's lying. I wouldn't telegraph. I don't want to tell anybody that I'm going out the door today.
No, because after listening to the foreign minister from Iran on Sunday, he
Death to
hates
America.
Trump with a passion. And some of the things he was saying, It was bad. It was bad.
And
I want to know though, what's up with Marjorie Taylor Greene?
I don't know. She went on a rant.
Well,
She
she-
went on a rant against Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, she used to always think that the sun set on Trump. She was one of his biggest supporters.
Well, she was always looking for a position.
But she's accusing Trump of a bait and switch with his supporters now over this whole thing of with Iran and Israel.
He's not telling everybody everything. He has a handful of very room left over in the hand for others if he needs them, but he's not telling everybody. He hasn't taken these people into his confidence. I wouldn't either. He doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to.
I mean, look at what they say about him publicly. The first thing they do when anything happens is they run, grab a camera and a microphone. And then they spill the guts. My God, they're worse than first graders. Oh, Miss Jenkins, did you see what? Did you hear what little Johnny did over there in the corner?
Well, I don't know. I was surprised to her because she wrote in a post that she campaigned with Trump on a MAGA agenda that included no more foreign wars, no more regimen change, world peace. Now 6 months into the administration, she's writing, "We are back into foreign wars, regimen change, and World War III." And she's really criticizing him on it.
He did not say that he's supporting regime change for Iran. He said it's a possibility it's going to happen. But that's, who's done more damage to Iran?
Iran,
No, what?
Correct.
Yes, Israel has.
right?
Well, yeah, they told him
Israel.
that.
The
I said,
Israelis have been at war with them for a couple of weeks now, and look at what they dropped. We dropped, 8 bombs? Shot some missiles.
I'm not sure
Just
what
to
we
warm
did
them up.
anymore. I don't know what's going on after yesterday and the mess that was all over different mainstream media. It was just it went back and forth all day into the evening.
Mhm.
Different stories, information that was not factual. Then each one claiming they had the facts, and then, like you said, arguing amongst themselves. I heard it this morning, and I'm like, wow.
Where's Chet Huntley and David Brinkley when you need them?
It's
Well, we can get just the
not
facts,
like
man.
it used to be.
Just the facts, man. And God knows if we could have Walter Cronkite in there, he'd straighten this mess out.
I don't know. Maybe we need to call Anderson Cooper because he's right over there. In fact, he had to run to the bomb shelters yesterday.
He flitted to the bomb shelter.
He fled to the bomb
He
shelters.
flitted.
He flitted. Rayford.
What?
Your choice of words.
I can't help what it is what it is.
He flitted.
Not judging.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
TV
Anyway.
networks, they got anchors all over the world that speak English. Some of them. And I watched a bunch of them yesterday. Went from station to station, country to country, network to network. It was like, wow. I tried to resurrect some good old broken French from a long time ago. Problem with watching French journalists today, it's not like watching and even studying French. It's when French, the language of love, je vous aime, voulez-vous nager avec moi? No, it was like, you heard the people out there screaming and hollering in French. I thought I was in Saudi Arabia or something. It was golly, and speaking French in Saudi Arabia at 900 miles a second. I got confused. For our English-speaking stations, commentators, even CNN anchors were not so negative toward Trump's yesterday. That I found out during the day. Later in the afternoon or the evening, I'm not sure. But polls, they were quoting. CNN is like, 64% of Americans support Trump and wants to keep on keeping Iran from developing nuclear powers, becoming a nuclear power. Yeah, well, I would think so. So CNN is like, do we make 64% of the people out there mad right out front? Yeah, that's what got us in the distant third place. in the news ratings. So they weren't doing that. They were still not praising him, but they were giving just basically just the facts, ma'am. What was released yesterday were the actions that our military took to, I found that very interesting. Launching when those B-2s were launched out in Arkansas, Kansas the other night, middle of the night. Do you know the efforts that were taken and what was done so that nobody would know exactly what was going on? They couldn't pinpoint it.
Right.
They launched multiple planes.
Under the stealth of night.
Well, everybody's watching that and they can see it
Right.
on radar or flight tracker,
Sure.
except on the planes that actually went over there. The rest were flying around,
It was
leading them on a wild goose
a
chase.
well-executed plan. I will
was
say that.
And the built-in plan of confusion, they had that.
Right.
So they've been planning this for quite some time. It threw all the folks who had their eyes on the bases where the B-2s were hanging out. They were completely like, what's going on? Who's on where? Who's on first? I don't know. Even the radio traffic coming from the planes was so cryptic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay. And when those planes got over target and they let go of their stuff, what
Right.
you were bombs away. Don't they just said Geronimo very quietly? Geronimo. That was the only thing that I picked out from all of the conversations that I said, uh-oh, I know what happened just now. And then the world lit up.
I think it was pretty cool. Very
It
cool.
was a well executed, and you can't give Donald Trump any credit for that, by the way, y'all. He's never flown an airplane. He's never been in a war situation. But he gave the orders, and then they executed their plans of how to get it done. So good for them. 2 bunker buster bombs per airplane. 1 bunker buster bomb weighs 15 tons, 30,000 pounds.
That's a lot.
That's 30,000 pounds times 2 is 60,000 pounds.
Mhm.
That's 6 of my boats fully loaded with gasoline.
That's a lot.
Yeah, my boat weighs 10,200 pounds when it's full of 300 gallons of gasoline and all the stuff that's on it normally. 10,200 pounds. Can you imagine 6 of those suckers in one big airplane?
No.
Okay, now
Mm-mm.
they were so overweighted that when they took off, they did not take off with a full load of fuel. Did you know that?
No, they fuel in the air.
Well, they normally refuel in
Yeah.
the air.
Oh,
Yeah.
But
refuel.
these took off with a light load.
Well, they would have to. It wouldn't get off the ground.
That's it. They wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would, but why take a
Oh,
chance when you got
Take that
60,000
chance.
pounds of boom boom on
Yeah.
board?
No.
So they took off, got airborne. They had tankers for each one of the planes.
I love watching. I've seen
Those
like videos of it.
AC-135s?
It's
Oh,
super
yeah.
cool.
And that was fun, knowing what they were going to do. And then and they got there. That was a 36-hour round trip. You
Well,
know that?
I had heard a
Yes.
thing on TV
Holy
yesterday.
moly.
They have like a little microwave on there, a little place to sleep. That
They
they
don't
trade
have a
off.
little anything on there.
Well, my place to eat, but I hear you
Yeah.
for their snack. You got to
Yeah.
have snacks when you fly. I don't care who you are.
Comfort food, you
You
mean?
have to have a snack.
Ho-hos.
Comfort
Yeah.
food. Wonder how many.
Chocolate cupcakes.
Yeah.
I don't want those in the microwave.
No, that'd be gross.
Ugh.
Ugh.
No, we
A pile
got
of
to have little
chocolate.
snacks.
Little pizza rolls.
Yes.
Let's go put some
Probe
pizza rolls in
and
there.
drogue
I-
is what they call it. Aerial refueling.
Oh, okay.
I love watching them do it. I've seen video. It is so cool because that's like precision. And you got to line everything up just right. I mean,
And then you're still counting on that little stupid ball in the back going
Yeah.
where you wanted to go.
yeah,
And then when it finally gets back there, gotcha.
it's
You know,
amazing how they do that.
It's a rigid
it's very cool.
telescoping tube with movable flight control surfaces that a boom operator on the tanker
It's a
aircraft.
long
extends
garden
and
hose,
inserts.
okay? And they're trying to make it control it.
First time I ever saw one was on that movie Air Force One. Remember
True
that?
that, yes. I watched that about 2 weeks ago. matter of
Did
fact.
you?
It's a good movie. You can't.
It is.
That movie is
It's
just good.
historic.
I've
You know?
watched it a lot.
That movie is just good.
When Harrison Ford lands that
I
plane,
love Harrison Ford.
When
Yeah.
he took control, I was like,
Yeah.
And when he's get off my plane.
Yep. That. Yeah.
I would have done that at 10,000 feet.
Yeah, he basically did when the one guy get off my plane.
Yeah. And kicking.
Right out the door.
Yep.
Pew!
I like it.
It was a great operation, well executed. I don't think, personally, I would not have put out the information about the actual mechanics of how this went down.
Mhm.
I'd say, it's a need to know basis. Sorry, it's classified. And we don't want our future enemies to know exactly how we kick these people's butts. Would you?
Nope.
We've got foreign elements out there. Let's go to about China. China's already been across our nation at least twice that we know of with their stealth weather balloons gathering information, flying over some of these bases. You know how close they came to where these B-2s were? Spitting distance. This flight's over.
Mhm.
They could see them. They knew what was going on. I mean, they gathered a lot of information,
Darn it.
listened to a whole lot of stuff, and transmitted it all back before we went boom, boom, put it down. Bad actors will pick up on patterns. So if we have these patterns and the stuff that I've already seen that's been put out there, and some of it by people that are not military, they know how to gather information. Well, they're putting things out there. The good thing is that China already knows and has the same capability of watching as do any of the armchair guys out there who sit back and work their cute little computers with the stuff that is available to them in the public's eye, like Flight Tracker. We all know that everybody can watch airplanes take off and land, and we know where they are. We know all of this about them, right?
Right.
Ships at sea, we know everything there. The AIS system, and it's got all of this stuff out there. It's wild. What was interesting on Flight Tracker is over the last few days, airliners, passenger planes, there's a big wide empty space over Iraq, over Iran.
Yes.
Nobody's flying there. I wonder why. With
I'd be scared too with all
missiles
those
and
missiles going up.
flying here, missiles flying there.
Well, I don't think I'd be going to that part of the world anyway. Currently,
I thought
right
they
now.
had canceled off flights
They
around
did.
that area. Yeah,
They have now,
They have, yeah.
but before they did that, nobody was going.
If you want to see
stopped.
something fun, watch Flight Tracker right around the area of like California or Cape Canaveral in Florida when they're getting ready to
Right.
shoot off a
Yeah,
rocket.
when they get rid of
It's all wide open.
Mhm. Yep. And so anyway, it's a thing that's happening. I don't know who's going to win this thing.
All right, let me ask you
I don't
this.
think
Let's
it's
just
gonna be
come right
Iran.
out. Do you think there's actually that both sides are going to honor the ceasefire?
No.
I don't think so either. I don't see it.
How long
No.
they'll honor it. And then
I'll be watching it
first of
tonight.
all, this guy in that black turban over there calls himself the Ayatollah Khomeini. He's the supreme commander. You got some dudes out there in the bushes that have control over some surface-to-air missiles and also some of other items. They may not honor they may be elements of some other country, people that are out there just to create hate and discontent. So why wouldn't they just fire off a few just to say, oh, gotcha? You know how many rounds were fired across the border during peaceful times in Korea, North Korea, from both sides? You know how many? I mean, we're talking about in recent times. They just take a pot shot here every now and then across the DMZ. Boom, boom. Brr, brr. Don't hit anything. But is that a violation of any ceasefires or any treaties? Yeah, absolutely. We do it. Both sides do it. Been doing it.
Well, I can't believe anybody has thought that these two, either one, were going to honor that thing. Supposedly, they've already each is claiming the other's violated.
Of course they.
But if you heard that initial statement, they had, 6 hours or 12 hours till that ceasefire was to take effect.
Right.
And they could bomb all they wanted to in that, whatever the time frame was. I don't even remember now. I have to go back and look.
6 hours.
It was
It was
6 hours.
okay.
Yeah.
And so you could bomb the heck out of each other for 6 hours, and then at the magic hour, you have to stop.
Uh-huh.
So now I think they're claiming what I just saw this morning as a news break. Iran's claiming Israel violated it, or maybe it's vice versa. And each is saying
Both.
the other one didn't. I mean,
Well, what I saw was Iran throwing missiles. I didn't see anything on Israel, but I might have missed it. But
I think it was pretty given that Israel was firing too.
it just came out just a few minutes ago that President Trump said Tuesday that both Iran and Israel violated the terms
thought I
of
read
a
that.
newly brokered ceasefire just hours before it took effect.
Mm.
Because I was sitting there last
okay,
night.
but wait a minute. Hours before it took effect, well, that would still be in that window of
Yes.
you got. So they haven't. Then if you're
Technically,
they haven't
yeah.
technically violated. If he said they got 6 hours until, the way I saw it explained last night, it means you can bomb the heck out of each other for 6 hours, and that, let's say that deadline was 6 a.m. So you've got from whatever time it was till 6 a.m. to do your thing,
Uh-huh.
and at 6 a.m. on the dot, it's like a Cinderella and the pumpkin carriage and all that stuff. Boom, you stop.
Well, right here it says, speaking before departing for the NATO summit, Trump expressed frustration with both sides, singling out Israel for launching strikes immediately after the agreement. He added that the two nations don't know what the blank, blank, blank they're doing.
Yep.
Bad
Lots
word,
of
bad
blankety
word.
blanks.
Yeah.
Well, and then they're going to get down to the nitty gritty here. Well, that's 6 hours. Does that mean if we've already, it's kind of like, in basketball, the clock runs out, but you've already took the ball,
Right.
or in football, when the time runs out, but your guy's got the ball and running and it's still an active play. Does that count?
Mm.
Will that count? Yeah, it does. So I don't know who's on first. Got to do a little bit of weather here. Who we got on the phone?
Charlie.
Charlie, you'll have to hang in there for just a minute. High pressure is going to roll through the end of the week and might last longer, probably not. Calm seas, a good thing for those who have spent some miserable days offshore this year. Along with the high pressure and mild winds, guess what? Not so mild heat. I think the word oppressive is being used a lot. Offshore out to 20 nautical miles today, northwesterly winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming southeasterly this afternoon. Seas 2 to 3 feet. They're about 4 seconds apart. Sounds and rivers a light chop. Tomorrow, southwesterly winds around 5 knots, seas about 2 feet. Yeah. Sounds and rivers flatter than twiggy. Keep a lookout for approaching thunderstorms and be prepared to move to another location, especially if you're on the water. Thursday, southwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, sea still calm 2 to 3 feet, and sounds and rivers a moderate chop.
Today, mostly sunny and hot, a high of 99 with our heat index value as high as 112. So we're back to that heat issue.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to just pretty much stay in. Tonight, mostly clear, low of 76. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 96. Heat index value as high as 110 tomorrow. 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms after 2 p.m. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, low of 72. And on Thursday, mostly sunny, a high of 91. And it does not say what the heat index Thursday is.
It's out of sight, probably. And before we get to Charlie here, real
I would
quick,
just go with a lot.
down there in Florida, Volusia County, Florida man's arrested last week and charged with the death of his 18-month-old son.
I
Who
have that
he
story, yes.
Left in a hot truck for more than 3 hours to go get some drinks and to get a haircut.
He went and got a haircut and went to a bar.
Yep.
33-year-old guy left his son, Sebastian, in a truck.
Yep.
Earlier this month.
And they showed a picture of the little boy.
11:30
He was
in the
adorable.
morning.
I'd beat that.
What's wrong
guy
with
senseless.
you? He needs to go to
Put him in a hot car for 3 hours.
No, just general population
He
in
went-
a women's center, central prison.
He went from Hanky Panky's Lounge to the big house.
There's going to be some hanky-panky with him. You can bet on that. Good morning, sir. How's the left coast this morning?
So I pretty much hate Disneyland. I hate Disney World. I think that the people that work there,
Such a hater.
What's that?
Such a hater you are.
You don't like Mickey Mouse.
Well, no, listen, I don't really know the history of Walt Disney. I think that he built Disneyland. I think he lived in Missouri or Iowa. I'm not sure where he lived. He had this idyllic town that he lived in. He just wanted to create something, hopefully for all races. I think that if he was alive today, he would want nothing to do with it. But I was just reading something earlier online where it's actually really disturbing, where this mother offered up her 9-year-old daughter. And you guys can see it online. So
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday, in fact.
Oh, I apologize. Okay, so I didn't see your show yesterday. You guys talked about that?
Yeah, we did. They're claiming it was a fake marriage. It was just set up to be a fake marriage. And that's what everybody's claiming now, to stay out of jail.
But this 9-year-old girl, this innocent child that has no clue how life works, her mother participated in this?
Yep.
Oh, I think this was a whole thing.
It was a thing.
I think this was a pedophile, probably potentially human trafficking situation. That's exactly what I think it was.
And Mama is heavily involved.
Take that kid from that lady immediately.
Yep.
All right, so you know what? I apologize. I didn't see your show yesterday, so you guys have a good day. Maybe I'll call back later.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Take care.
The Russia, of course, has blamed Trump for the bombings over the weekend. He says he's opened the door to an all-out nuclear war. Well, first of all, Vladimir, you and this country have 90% of all the nuclear weapons in the world. Probably greater than 90% now, because we've just obliterated a few there in Iran. He said that Trump has opened the Pandora's box. What's disturbing is we got people inside our Senate, our U.S. Senate, our U.S. House of Representatives that agree with him. And they're voicing their opinions, which is backing a communist dictator, scumbucket, murdering POS. We've got the I word is being circulated all over again. Impeach, impeach, impeach.
Oh, please.
Here we go again.
Here we go.
Anything they can do to stop anything that he's doing. They're just looking for an excuse. This is a reason, you idiots, the idiots in Washington, this is a reason that the president, not just this president, no president should trust all of y'all with such secrets as plans to do damage to people who want to kill us. Why would you trust top secret information in advance and what a telegraph what we're going to be doing? Who are you going to tell that you can trust that's going to keep it a secret? Nobody that I wouldn't put behind locked doors with an armed guard, and there would be no cell phones or any outside communications. That would be the only way to trust somebody. So then what do you have? No use having them there in the first place. You have to feed them.
That's the truth.
So I don't know. Possible damages to the nuclear enrichment program. Don't know how bad. Don't know how bad it was. International Atomic Energy Agency Director General Rafael Grossi said that given the explosive payload that was used by the United States and the extreme vibration sensitive nature of centrifuges, I hadn't thought about that, very significant damage is expected to have occurred. Okay, so those centrifuges, they're really delicate instruments. We've seen those for medicine and stuff like that, right? You've seen them. Yeah. Can you imagine a 5.5 magnitude earthquake, which is what they have in effect? That would shake, rattle, and roll those things. That a lot of damage is going to be there just to the centrifuges. Have no idea how much of the uranium actually got out of there on planes that left last week. I'm sure they didn't take all of it, because who would want to be on a plane with enriched uranium? I wouldn't want to be riding a plane with all that on board, would you?
Heck no.
I mean, that's a bomb in itself.
Uh-huh.
Somebody sends a BB gun and takes a pot shot at you with a 22 from the ground, and it causes a nuclear explosion. No. The intense blast did result in physical damages, but Iranian reports do not indicate an increase in radiation outside the labs. The clue, the key, the problem. Iranian reports do not indicate an increase in radiation outside the labs. If they did say there was a lot of radiation leaking from those labs, well, guess what they would be admitting? And we were doing a lot of mixing uranium and enriching it and making it ready for bombs.
North Korea will.
Yeah. I mean, if they tell us that this place is leaking uranium, radiation, then they will be admitting, I mean, you call it Bubba. So Iran's not going to tell us.
Well, no. I can't believe people thought that they would even be forthcoming. But I mean, we would do the same thing. No one's going to tell their stuff. Let's be clear.
Supposed to.
No, why would you? I don't care who you are. Why would you? I don't understand.
Look how long it took Russia to fess up to Chernobyl.
Well, they hadn't completely fessed up, but I hear you. Yeah.
It took a while.
Yeah.
We had no idea to what extent it was until, the birds flying over fell from the sky.
I know somebody that wants to go over there and tour it. I know. That's what I said. That's creepy. And why would you?
You'll become a Martian.
Yeah.
Green all over.
Yeah.
Your hair
I know.
will
I have a
fall
friend
out.
that wants to go and tour Chernobyl. I'm like,
Why
and they
would
have the
you? What's the
connections.
reason?
It's curiosity.
That kills the cat.
That's what I said. I said, you've lost your mind. No. I'll do a lot of things, but that's not one of them.
Swimming with the sharks and going to tour Chernobyl.
There's two things I definitely won't do.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it's what?
I'll do the sharks, but I won't do Chernobyl.
I won't do either one.
Nope.
A weekend wreck claimed the life of a Jacksonville man. This was a sad story I read yesterday. 43-year-old Clement Wiki, that's one name, that's his first name.
I saw it, yeah.
Green was riding on his electric scooter on North Marine Boulevard, starting across Gum Branch Road. So it was on the Gum Branch Road side of US 17 North. Struck by a car, he crossed over against the light. Tried to cross over against the light. He was struck by a car traveling on a green light from Belfork Road across US 17 North Marine Boulevard, heading to Gum Branch Road.
Yeah.
It was
Car
really
coming
sad.
from Belfork Road crosses over at an intersection at midnight.
And those electric scooters can be hard to see.
Well, they're calling him a pedestrian.
A pedestrian?
What else do you call him? He's not a motorist. Scooter rider? I don't think there's a designation anywhere. He was taken to a hospital. He died. Happened shortly after midnight Sunday morning, late Saturday night. No charges have been filed. The investigation is continuing. If you have any information that's relevant, please call the Jacksonville Police Department. God, I've seen those little electric scooters here, there, and everywhere. Where was I going the other day? I saw two different pairs of the electric motorcycle looking things out there. Zip it.
Some of them can zip.
Do you think they stopped at intersections?
Well, they better. You have to. The rule.
If you're on the road, you have to follow the rules.
They were on the sidewalks.
Well, let me tell you.
Are they? Wait.
I don't know.
I don't think
I don't
they're
have a clue.
allowed to be on the
We're
sidewalk.
going to find out. I will get the
I don't
laws
think
on
they
that.
are
I don't
either.
think they
and I was
are.
just going to bring up when you talk about the scooters. I've been noticing out my front window of a young girl. I would say she's 12 maybe years of age, on an electric scooter, flying up and down the sidewalks, no helmet, sometimes no shoes. I just want to find her parents and beat them. I mean,
Why
all
would
she
you not
has
wear
to,
shoes?
a helmet at least.
Yeah.
A helmet. No helmet. All she has to do is hit something just.
Concrete.
You can
on
rip
the
your toe
sidewalk.
off though too.
Oh my God, that hurts thinking
What-
about it. Don't
I
even
mean,
say that.
why would you
But
let
it's
your
true.
child do that?
Because parents are just so self-involved, and if you want to get a good look, go to a restaurant, where parents take their families. Watch the parents be on the phone.
Yep.
And just watch them, not paying attention.
I saw the Japan, of course, had the first cell phones in mass.
Correct.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And there was a story on one of the news stations, probably NBC, on one of the feeds we got. They had done a story in Japan at a restaurant, the big sign, which they had to translate, no cell phones. This was in the 80s.
Yeah.
No cell phones.
Yep.
Because they went to, they had that sign and they had people inside eating and doing whatever. They went to a restaurant that did not have one of those signs, and everybody in the 80s was on their cell phone. That was
Sad.
35, 40 years
It's
ago
40
now.
years ago,
40
yeah.
years ago that was going on. And look at where we are today. We're just as bad off as we were then, except now they're doing with their thumbs, making all the mistakes that people make when they type with their thumbs on tiny little keyboards.
What are you trying to say?
Want to read yours last night to me?
I swear I typed that one word, did not go
Your
back.
Honor, I swear that that's
And
not what I wrote.
you said,
Your
what's a
Honor."
Conrad? I'm like, what are you talking about? All I said was, I will look at the post, and somehow that turned into the word Conrad.
I'm going to look at the Conrad, and I'm like,
Well,
Conrad
ever since my
what?
phone did this update last week, it just seems that if
We all blame the phone.
I
for
have
it.
to type like this now,
You
like
do.
in order for words to come out, it's weird.
First of all, if you type very fast or try to, especially with two fingers,
And I am a fast typer.
when you do that and you typed what the letter that you thought was there, and you typed 3 more letters, and that one didn't take,
And so the phone puts in
then
their
everything
word
else,
for
everything else is screwed up, and then
But
it
you
tries to
know-
find you a word that fits.
But I will say
So
that
bad.
it's a given rule when you're texting your friends back and forth. It's you misspell a word or don't use correct grammar. It's no big deal. It's forgiven. You don't even think about it because you're texting amongst friends. Isn't that right, Kelly?
Agreed.
See? Because believe me, when I text Kelly sometimes,
You
I'm like,
should
what
see
did
our
I
stuff.
just
You'll think-
text?
You'll be thinking she and I are talking a whole different language. But we know
I
each
think
other
it's
so well.
encoded.
We know what words we're trying to say.
Right.
It may not be spelled right, but it's on there. Yeah.
We could really mess with the Chinese if we all would type like that and say, yes.
Yeah.
And not even know what we're saying. Don't care.
It's
But
like
we just
making up stuff.
make
Yeah.
up stuff that we're
Yeah.
doing. We could mess with people's heads.
Yeah. And they'd be like, wait, what?
And they would spend years trying to break the code.
Now I got a question for both of y'all.
Shoot.
Tell me what a fanny pack is.
A fanny
Is
pack?
or
Oh,
was.
yeah.
What it was.
What is it?
What it
It's
was
like
in the day when
one-
they had fanny packs out there. And I
People
had
still
one.
have them.
And I had one.
I had
at the
one.
time.
What is it? Tell
It's
me
a
what
little
it is.
belt
It's a little purse on a belt.
with a bag around it attached to it that you put around, and it's supposed to be off your side or off your butt, right? That's why it became a fanny pack, but they were carried everywhere. And the one that I had was built specially. It was made for law enforcement,
Mhm.
and I carried a gun in it.
Do you think it's an article of clothing?
I guess it could be
I would
because
not
some of them are
consider.
as big as some of the articles of clothing that
I
are
would
running
consider it an accessory and not an article of clothing. And I'm afraid to hear what you're about to say.
You're gonna
around.
like
I
this.
considered
then.
it a holster, but that's what.
Yeah.
So in Australia,
Oh, mercy.
Well,
on a
it-
Virgin Airways flight, Flight attendant came over to this lady. There's apparently a whole video about this. And told her she had to remove, she had her fanny pack on. Okay?
Right.
She had to remove it for takeoff because, you got your little belt. Told her to remove it.
Ruh-roh.
This lady lost her mind. F-bombing it, everything. Because she said, you are asking me to take off my clothing. No, crazy. No
Did she
one's
ha-
having
did
you
she have any
strip
clothing?
naked.
Did she have any clothing on underneath?
Yeah, she went.
Oh, well, then that's not
She's
clothing.
wearing clothes.
That's not clothing. That's like being told to take off your coat or your hat.
Correct. I agree with you. To me, I look at it as a purse. Just put it under your seat in front of you and keep going about your day. Period. Or what's more, it's in Australia, it's when we have summer, they're having winter. So you put it on and then put a blanket over you and then seat belt over the blanket. No one's going to know if you determine, why would you want to sit there with a fanny pack on, but whatever, maybe. So anyway, the cops were called because the plane wanted to take off and they couldn't because she wouldn't do that, acting a fool. She got arrested and thrown off the plane.
For being the fool.
But
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why did they want her to take it off?
They're saying that it was, I'll tell you, because the flight attendant even said it. Hold on, let me read her direct quote.
Okay.
Because there was an actual quote from the flight attendant.
Because I don't know why they would want her to take it off, to me. But
because the lady said, you're trying to have me take off my clothing. And she said, no.
Well, I got that, but I mean, why did they
You
want her
had
to
a
take it off?
bum bag on. I mean, in the event of
A bum bag?
evacuation, we need to make sure you're safe and everyone else is safe if we're evacuating.
Well, how big was the fanny
I agree.
pack?
I mean, it couldn't have been that big. I mean,
that big.
Agreed. I don't know how big it was. I guess I need to watch the video.
I think they're
to
both
determine
being
that.
true. I think
I think
the
they're both just being
stewardess is being
stupid.
trivial over
Just
a fanny
put them
pack.
in a ring, give them a pair of gloves each, and go
And-
ahead.
Well, she got arrested and thrown off the plane
Well, she
Yeah.
got arrested because
All
of
she
the
had to
reaction.
do was take off the fanny
because they're
pack.
saying apparently fanny packs in general have been an ongoing point of contention. With some airlines consider them carry-on, and others in the industry say they're articles of clothing.
Well, I saw an article of clothing.
I
It is a
agree.
carry-on.
I don't think it's an article of clothing.
It could be because I carry a camera
Right.
and I carry a bag,
Right.
and that is not an article of clothing.
Well,
Even the really small ones that I've got is not an article of clothing. They are either a purse or a carry-on piece of some sort, and I
But
carry it on.
Kelly, I wonder what they would call, you can get the wallets that have a strap on them
Yeah.
and you strap them on your wrist.
To me,
Now,
that's
is
a
that a
little purse.
carry-on? Or a
I think
purse?
it's a carry-on. I think it's a
Carry-on.
purse.
I
But
do.
remember,
A purse is a carry-on.
you get a purse and a carry-on bag.
That's it.
That's all you. And
Right.
when I flew, back in April, when I tell you they were regulating that at the airports,
Yeah.
flat out regulating.
Well, when I fly-
I don't carry a purse. I put
I-
everything in the back carry-on.
I've got
Yeah, I
a
do too.
carry-on bag, some pack when I'm traveling
Okay.
to where I go.
Mhm.
I've got a backpack on, which is fine, and
That's
I
what
have a camera bag.
Yeah,
That's my purse,
correct.
and they allow that.
I carry a
It's
purse
small
and then my bag.
It's
Yeah,
a small bag with a camera and
Yeah.
one lens.
yeah, agreed.
Done.
But they are saying, some people like that aren't. The airlines say it's like a person because it carries personal items. It goes towards your carry-on
Absolutely,
luggage,
it
and
does.
I
It does.
agree with that. I mean, I don't know why you couldn't just look.
Sounds
I don't-
like
what
both
was in
sides were
this?
being ridiculous.
But then some people are arguing. Some guy that's a writer for an air travel magazine.
Oh, great!
Said
What are
a
those?
belt. This is what I don't agree
Oh,
with.
here
This.
we
He
go.
claims a belt that you can store items in is still a belt and is part of your clothes. Why? Because it doesn't require overhead bin space, and it doesn't require space underneath the seat in front of you. He's
Good
claiming.
luck, dude. You're wrong.
I agree.
A belt's an accessory.
And then he claimed this
It's
guy
a necessity
delusional.
in my case.
In some cases, yes.
So if I don't wear it, my pants are gonna fall down.
And he says a man can wear cargo pants. Anyone can wear a jacket, even a heavy winter coat, and that doesn't count against your carry-on. Well, it's not the same thing.
Huh? That's
Because he's equating a fanny pack 100% to clothes.
no.
No.
I can see it. Somebody want to use that as an excuse that You know, I use a fanny pack
Mhm.
because I don't have any pockets on my skin tight pants that
Well,
I'm
then
a
get a-
woman. Or
But what all was in this thing that you couldn't put? I mean, you're on a plane for crying out loud.
Okay.
Put it on the floor in front of you, and if you
it
want,
just be,
who's going to steal it? Where are they going to go?
Look, I've stuffed when I'm wearing knee-high boots. I've stuffed
Yeah.
stuff in there, like my phone in there.
Yeah, I mean, what?
you knife and your
keys and my
gun.
knife and a
I
gun.
don't understand.
Right.
I don't understand the hoopla. And now this lady got arrested, thrown off a
That part is
flight.
her fault.
I agree.
Yes, yeah.
That's what I'm
Let me
saying.
put it to you this way for just a
Unfortunately,
second.
yes.
Dumb.
Let me just put it to you this way. One real easy rule out there.
Mhm.
Follow
My
the
boat.
instructions.
Mhm.
My plane,
Mhm.
my rules.
Yes.
Mhm.
I don't care what it is. If you don't like it, there's the door.
All she had to do was take it off, and then once she got to where she was going and settled
that
in,
sucker
then
back on.
file a complaint with the
It does not
airline.
matter.
You know,
The bottom line is my boat, the captain, you follow the captain's rules.
Yeah.
right?
When the captain is wrong, refer to rule 1. Captain is always right.
I agree.
The captain on the ship, on the plane is the same. He is in total control aboard that plane. And whatever he and his
Yep.
subordinates rule, those are the rules. You follow them.
And I mean, like I said, I think as long as that seatbelt will fit over it, who gives a
Yeah, to just
care
fit right under it, and then you
whether
just
this
flop your
lady
bag
has it?
over
But so the flight attendant's a little bit overreach
They
too.
both are that way.
And for
Both.
her sake, we have to everybody's safety. Or I don't know how much damage a fanny pack can do to somebody trying to get off a plane. But let me tell y'all,
If it gets caught in something, and
Well, I
you're
will say
going
this.
out the door.
when we had to jump on that slide down that plane off the in Dallas, Texas, that time when my child was a tiny baby, I sure did go with carrying that diaper bag because I didn't know how long we were going to be on the runway or the airport, and I needed the child's
Yeah, just throw it
bottles
down
and
ahead.
diapers.
Yeah.
So I sure did, and no one said a word to me. But I know they say leave all your personal belongings.
Well, that
Kelly
was-
took that diaper bag.
That was not just that was kind of like a necessity too.
I
not an
had to have
accessory.
that. I mean,
Okay.
that child needed her. Yeah, because you can't just
That's
hide.
right.
My belt's not an accessory.
Yeah,
Y'all accessorize the belts all you want. Mine is a necessity.
mine is too a lot of times. I have a
Could be a
pair of
problem
pants I like to
otherwise.
fly with, and I need a belt with it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're comfortable, but I still need a belt.
Back in the day, they used to take your belt off.
I had
gonna-
to recently.
You are going
I
to be
had-
sorry.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're due to go, all of us at work are due to go to a conference in July. And we've
July.
already started talking because you know the shenanigans when we all go together.
Oh,
we
no.
started talking. We had a conversation last week about what's going to happen. And we started talking about every trip, we have something. And we one of us had shared with the group, we have a group chat, crazy things you see in airports. But I have to say, and we were talking about things we've seen a lot, but I still maintain the most outrageous thing I have seen is when we went on that trip to New Orleans to that conference, and it was 3 of us. And getting back to come back here on the plane in the New Orleans airport, the lady, we were all waiting in our gate area, and we actually have a video of this. The lady all of a sudden just started urinating all over herself on the floor. That's how drunk she was. Just
I
standing
remember
there.
you telling that
getting on that
story.
plane.
Yes.
That is still, I mean, how long this woman had been holding this, I don't know. But she was so drunk, just standing there at the gate, and everyone just starts watching her. And they actually wouldn't let her on the plane,
This
and she
reminded you
flipped
of-
her lid.
Mine is you the French Quarter in New Orleans.
yeah,
right?
I know.
What's the difference?
Yeah, but I'm in the airport.
She brought it with you.
And the best part about that was the cleaning staff fighting amongst themselves over who had to go over and mop that up because they called cleaning crew. I mean, it's a biohazard technically.
Of course.
And they were literally, we got that on there too, fighting over who had to go over and mop that mess up. But then they wouldn't let her on the plane, and she flipped her lid.
Well,
But
she's too drunk.
she was a hazard.
Yeah.
I mean, this woman
Well,
was,
she was drunk.
Yeah. So I think that, I believe, is the most outrageous thing I've seen at airport that I can remember. And I'm sure I've been flying since childhood, but I think that cops a cake, but I don't know.
I've seen a couple when it was flying, but it was kind of other flying too, but I was there flying out of the same airport in the luggage area claimed. The guy with the cute little doggy, just a general dog. He could have looked a little bit like Shockwave, a little bit bigger. Went around on a leash. He turns him loose. The dog is going up to people, just walking by, and everybody's speaking, hey, 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 hey. One woman just standing very still, and he stops and sits down. And she's from Jamaica, and she goes to screaming.
No way.
Oh, yeah. She's not afraid of the dog. She's afraid of the drugs that she's got on her. The dog finally comes,
Nice.
and he found them.
Nice.
They took her away. I mean, I was like,
I love watching those
oh,
drug
I
dogs
do
work.
too.
They are amazing.
They don't sit there and bark at you. They just sit there. And,
They don't have to. They just do their thing.
How you doing?
Yeah. I love it.
How you
I
doing?
think
You're
it's
going to have a
amazing.
bad day today,
Yeah.
aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They do a good job.
You should have brought me a doggy biscuit. You didn't bring me any food, so you're going to suffer. That's what the dog's thinking.
Well, you know, the last
I can read their minds.
2 times I've flown, they've swiped my hands for bomb residue. I'm like, what do y'all think I have on my hands?
I don't go to a range.
Yeah.
Don't ever go to the range the day before you get on an airplane.
think
I
about
know
that.
one
I
thing.
didn't think
I
about
know
that.
one thing for sure. I will never fly with Kelly.
What
Never.
would it be?
No, I will never fly with Kelly
Oh,
because
it's always interesting.
it's always a
Interesting
story.
is your word.
I've flown
You're gonna
and
get stuck somewhere
I've
That's the
had
problem.
on a flight.
I have flown and I've had the usual things like delays or cancellations.
Who
and,
hasn't?
You know, but I mean, I've never had my hand tested for bomb residue.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times.
And the
now.
last couple times I flew, I didn't even have to take off my shoes.
they patted me down.
They
in April.
flagged me and said, "No, you're good to go."
No,
And I'm
I
like,
got my
"Okay."
hand swiped, and this time I pat you down. You want to go in your room? No, lady, let's go. Just do it right here. I got nothing to hide. I'll strip naked right here in the airport if you want me to.
Hey, say,
Pat me
I've done
down,
it
let's keep
before.
going.
Just tell me
Yeah,
you've done it
like-
before everywhere.
I mean,
In the
she's
theater.
like, do you want to go in the other room? For you to pat me down? No. Let's go.
Go right ahead.
Come on. Right there in front of everybody.
There was
Can
a-
I have
Robin
him do it?
laughing in the background. Like,
I bought
Yeah.
when we flew to Manchester, right, New Hampshire, and rented a car for our honeymoon to go to Bahama.
okay.
So we went through up the coast through Maine into a place called Freeport, Maine. You know what's in Freeport, Maine? LL Bean.
I know, I've been there. I've been there.
And it's got
Yes.
acres and
I love
acres and
LL
acres, a
Bean.
couple of blocks, and
Yes.
across the street to get to. So we got there, and I found stuff. It was October, so that would have been Columbus Day,
Yeah.
and everything is on sale.
Mhm.
We there on Monday.
You know, I used to
Columbus
get
Day.
those catalogs
Everything's on
all the
sale.
time.
Mhm.
Everything's on sale.
Are they still
Bought
in
a
business?
$100 cargo coat. They had about 500 of them, same size, same color. That's the only one they had on sale, $12.
Yeah.
It lasted forever. LL Bean stuff's amazing.
Oh,
So
they got-
I had to throw it away a few years ago
Yeah.
because it just was kind of looking. Oh, well, you're not using that
Right,
anymore. You
fair.
got a lot
Yeah.
more. I gave it away.
I
They
love
have
LL
It
Bean.
was still in good shape.
They now have a 2-a-day daily markdown. New deals markdown daily at 6 a.m. and
Oh,
2
Lord.
p.m.
Don't put me on this website.
Here we go.
Y'all gonna get-
Anyway, sorry I mentioned that, but
Love
anyway,
that.
I bought a pair of jeans there too.
Uh-huh.
Sorry. Okay. Well, we get up to Maine and we do our we'll continue into Maine. We do our thing for the week. We come back,
Mhm.
drive back to Manchester, and get aboard the airplane to come home.
Wow, I
Mhm.
like these.
It was not going to go well.
You know when they
I was wearing
began?
the jeans.
You know when they started?
You know what's in those
1912.
jeans? You know what's in those jeans?
What's in those
No.
jeans?
They wanded me, and I said, "Well, go through." So, blip, dip. I said, "Damn, what is it?" Took my watch off. I said, "To take my belt off." I emptied my pockets. I checked everything again. Do I have any lost pennies somewhere? Everything, nothing.
Did you have to take off your jeans?
Close.
What's in
Got
the
up
jeans?
there, and then the guy wands around the waist. He said,
The
"What are you
rivets?
hiding inside the jeans line?" And I said, "I zipped the thing right there and look." They put all these extra metal tabs in case you lose one.
I didn't know that. Really?
Well, this company did. Whoever jeans I bought, that
Wow.
LL Bean, they had a whole bunch
I
of
love
that
LL Bean
little metal buttons sewn inside, so you could have them as spares in case you broke one. And the guy started laughing. He said, "Well, this is a first for me. I learned something too." And I said, "Well, good. Whew. Can I get aboard the plane?"
Yeah,
He said,
get on there.
I said, "I can leave the jeans with
I didn't
you."
know they did that.
So-
Love their shit.
but anyway, it was kind of interesting when that happened.
Wow.
Okay, let's go back to a little bit of news.
How about in Florida, Rayford, the 60 missing children that were found by the U.S. Marshal Service along with other agencies. They
But
did
that
what
one-
were they called? Operation Dragon Eye. It was a 2-week
No.
mission where they were able to recover or safely locate the most critically missing youth. And they're calling it the most successful missing
Why
child
were they
operation.
missing? Were they abductees or something?
It could have been runaways. They've not really gone into those personal details on it, but they said that these were children that were exploited, etc. And they said that, getting down to here, that the USMS defines critically missing children as those at risk of crimes of violence or those with other elevated risk factors such as substance abuse, sexual exploitation, crime exposure, or domestic
Anybody
violence.
get arrested?
Yeah. And
Good.
they said right here
Yeah, we're
that let me get down. He said that they were able to arrest some child predators, and they said that human trafficking was involved in this, and just bad people altogether. I watched the news conference on it yesterday, and they just spent all the time thanking each different agency for what they did. They never really came out with the exact details, which makes me wonder why not.
But they got a lot of people they're looking for.
This spanned over 3 counties in Florida. One of our favorites, Kelly Pinellas. Pinellas County.
Yeah.
Let's go a bit north.
Let's go
31-year-old
north.
Michigan gunman they got inside a church congregation
Yeah.
Sunday, was well armed. The Wayne Police Department, that's the Wayne, Michigan Police Department.
Check it out.
They identified the guy as Brian Anthony Browning of Romulus, Michigan.
Okay.
They said he was armed with an AR style of rifle plus a pistol. He also was carrying a lot of bullets, a bunch of magazines. Brown's mother was a member of the church, and information showed he had attended services there 2 or 3 times in the past year or so. No motive for the attacks has been revealed. There is talk of some possible psychological mental issues. And he was walking towards the door on Sunday morning. He was seen driving erratically in the parking lot, stopped, got out, started walking towards the door carrying a long gun, and of course he had the pistol. And this guy in a pickup truck watched him and said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." So he took off. I don't know whether he hit him or just tried to hit him, but the guy opened fire on the guy in the pickup truck. And then he still managed to get into the church. He shot one person in the leg. That person, I don't know, male or female, underwent surgery, is okay. Then he was shot to death by an armed security guard. The church had an armed security team there. They searched Browning's home, found several rifles, pistols, and ammunition. They seized all of it. Before too many of y'all get your backside in a bind, it's Michigan. Michigan's well known for deer hunting. If you think 2 or 3 rifles or 4 or 5 rifles in a man's house is a lot, no, you're wrong. They will have them in different calibers, perhaps, different kinds, that shoot different ranges. They also found pistols and ammunition. They seized all of it. Michigan is well known for hunting. That's just all I can say about it. I mean, these guys probably not a collector because he went nuts having a gun or more than one gun, and especially if you got more than one, you have an arsenal and you're a nut with a bunch of guns.
What's his rationale for?
He's dead. Who knows?
Didn't that guy run him over or something?
Tried to,
Okay.
but he tried to run him down as he was going into the church with guns.
Do they know why that church, or did he just pick a church?
Because his mother went there is one reason. He was familiar with it.
He knew the layout of it.
He had attended the church services 2 or 3 times.
But did he just hate God? I mean, what's his deal?
He's a nut. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
He didn't come to me for counseling.
he didn't like that. He didn't like that church. What kind of church was it?
Nothing special.
Nothing, so-
that was, I don't remember. I
I
missed
think
it.
it was a matter
Okay.
he just got up, loaded up, picked a church,
He
and
just
went
woke
in.
up and said,
Eh.
"Today I'm going to go kill the church."
Yeah.
Okay.
The
What a
investigation
weirdo.
is ongoing, so
Mhm.
I'm sure we will learn more if we want to know more,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to be buried on page 13A sooner or later.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina
Mm-hmm.
had a Juneteenth celebration with apparently hundreds of people there.
Yeah.
An argument broke out. Shots were fired. One person was killed. 9 others were wounded. Happened last Friday night outside Greenville. This is South Carolina, near a VFW hall. It may have been right next door.
Wow.
When the gunfire started, the people panicked, of course. They scattered. They left their shoes and all sorts of other things in the streets of the building.
Mm-hmm.
Police say that a lot of that stuff was found because when rescue got there, they were treating victims. And so a lot of personal items were left behind.
Right.
35-year-old LaPortia Janae Gray Cobb, shot in the abdomen, died at the scene. One of the 9 wounded flown to a Greenville hospital. The others were taken to area hospitals for treatment. Some drove themselves or were driven in personal cars.
Hmm.
That investigation ongoing. No arrest had been made as of last night.
Yeah.
There was a New Year's Eve party in Wilmington at one of the public recreational
Mhm.
facilities that the city had, and it got out of control. Some dude inside shot a girl, killed her, 15 years old,
Wow.
at midnight. Had adults, had juveniles, had everybody in the
Mhm.
place, all young people. When I left Wilmington, that was still unsolved, and that was like a 15-year-old murder. Nobody saw him. Nobody could identify him. Nobody talks in situations like that. The cops
Sad.
interviewed everybody that they could find who was
Mhm.
there. Oh, I didn't see a thing. I didn't see a thing. I didn't see a thing. You wonder, and it sounded like the south side of Chicago when police go
Yeah,
up
when
to a
they-
shooting
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. Is this
Yeah.
one little case. Little girl's name was Green, I think. But that little girl was
Mhm.
murdered, and half of those people in there knew who did it.
Sad.
And 10, 15 years later, it was still unsolved. It may have been solved by now. Who knows?
Hmm. Well,
You don't even want to give police information about somebody who kills a friend of yours?
Well, here, I got one thing about to one up you. And I'm going to go on record as saying, I think these anti-ICE activists
Huh.
should be charged when they do what I'm about to say.
No. I disagree.
So in Colorado, they helped a child rapist who was here legally escape arrest because they alerted him that ICE was on their way to do their sweep and gave the guy time to flee.
Did they arrest everybody that
I would have arrested
involved?
every
Everybody.
dang one of them.
accessory
So he is a criminal
facilitating?
from El Salvador. It's a shot. But here's the kicker of this. He was convicted of child rape in Italy, got free from there, came here to be free to just do his whatever nonsense here. And the local anti-ICE group alerted him that ICE was on their way. The name of the group is called Colorado Rapid Response. I think every one of them
Oh yeah,
should be charged.
go to jail.
Yep. I don't know. Let's pick a crime to charge them with, but yes. Because they just let
Harboring a
convicted-
fugitive,
yes, a convicted child rapist.
accessory after the
Yep.
fact,
These people are just, I think the
felonious
protesters
stupidity.
are scum. I have no use for them.
Yep.
I think they all should be arrested.
Well, either arrest them or do what I would suggest. What I was talking about earlier before you got here. Let's round them all up and send them over there to fight in Iran to assist those people in Iran. Let them fight. Just you want to fight, you want to protest, go to Iran and protest in support of Iran
Mhm.
if you want to, If you want to go to the Gaza Strip, go to the Gaza Strip. Support Hamas if you want to. It's okay. Go. Take your mess there where you're wanted.
Well, here's one for you, Rayford.
No insurance plans available, though.
Let me get your take on this one. It concerns the No Kings rally that they had recently, and this was in Utah, where they had a big protest going on, and they had a couple armed peacekeepers there with the crowd. They were wearing vests. They were there to protect the protesters.
From whom?
One of the peacekeepers, the armed peacekeepers, saw a man approaching the crowd with a rifle raised as if he was getting ready to shoot into the crowd. So the armed peacekeeper took out his weapon and shot at this guy 3 times,
And missed.
but ended up hitting a bystander who was killed.
Murder.
So far, they've not charged him.
He didn't have a right to shoot him.
I
Right.
agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
He didn't have a right to shoot him. How close was he?
It did not give specifications on the distance,
Mm-hmm.
but it said that
And who are you as your, what did you call him? Some kind of a,
peacekeeper.
so peacekeeper.
Guarding the
what are
protesters.
your credentials?
Correct.
Exactly. That's my thought, too. I mean, they weren't law enforcement officers.
But credentials as an experience or anything else?
Right.
How much
Yeah.
training have you had?
They said that the victim was mistakenly shot by one of the 2 event peacekeepers in neon vests who opened fire after a subject identified as Arturo Gamboa, 24,
I
ran
would
towards the crowd
not
with a
give
gun.
those guys a BB gun if I wanted some assistance in a place like that.
And this,
I would not. A Nerf ball gun, maybe. That's about it. That's
This
not
is
keeping
what-
the peace.
yeah.
That's looking for trouble.
It didn't say that they were armed security licensed by the state. They didn't say they were off-duty police officers. They were just armed peacekeepers. And I'm like you.
I doubt very seriously.
What kind of
if a group
creds do they have?
I doubt seriously if a group of protesters are going to hire off-duty cops.
Yeah, really. Oh, wow.
They would be smart to, but probably more of them would be arrested.
Wow. And they're saying that the guy that Gamboa, the one that was sporting the rifle, he didn't fire one shot, and he doesn't have any criminal history.
Going around armed to the terror and danger to the public, you'd be
I
arrested in
would
North
think
Carolina.
that's going to be a new charge coming out for him.
I'd charge him immediately with something until you sort it out.
That was
whatever.
craziness.
We running the serial number on the weapon for sure to find out when it was stolen.
Rayford.
What? I'm a realist here. Was it purchased legally?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we'll ever know. It'll be a while. It'll come out.
Here's something that the story that came out to after that rather lively weekend in Iran that we we threw the party. There are now fears circulating among people inside this country, not just big wigs, not like the
yes.
president or the 535 legislators that we have out there. Security experts warning us, you, me, and everybody else to take precautions when you're traveling, especially outside the United States. The State Department, we know that earlier, they've issued travel advisories for a lot of areas. You might want to check states' warnings on their website. Whatever the state, I'm talking about Department of State, State Department, whatever their kind of warnings they're issuing for travel to certain places. Tehran's probably high up on the list, but also check others. There are anticipations of Iranian retaliations. We know that. It's worth noting that terrorists and rogue nations, terrorists don't have allegiance to any particular country, right? But there are rogue nations that support terrorists, and we know Iran is one of them.
Right.
Those people are known to go after civilians, oftentimes civilians in large groups who have gathered together. Where? A travel expert, a security expert. He says it's imperative we as Americans, we have to plan to have an escape route, something to get us to safety. Anytime you're in something happens while you're traveling, you need to have some way to get away. Robert McDonald was a Secret Service agent for more than 20 years, so he has credentials. And as an expert in executive protection, intelligence, and protective travel logistics, during that time, he coordinated security for U.S. and foreign dignitary visits. So he keeps up that work. Now he's a professor of criminal justice at the University of New Haven. His work continues. Airports, bus stations, train stations. You're going to where now? You're going on a train station?
I'm going
a
on
bus station?
I'm
airport.
going on a plane.
Airports, bus stations, train stations, any place where groups of travelers are in close proximity. He's warning them that especially right now, you need to be aware of your surroundings more than ever. Somebody somewhere is going to be looking for an opportunity to create hate and discontent. Look around when you get there. You're at the airport and you're waiting to get on the plane. Check your surroundings. Check the people who may be on the outskirts who are looking at your group of people. Look around. Make sure you can find a place, pick a place that you can either seek shelter or run like the bat. The same warning should be considered that you hear at every airport many times every day. First, don't take any bags or packages to hold or carry for someone you just crossed paths with at the airport. If you see an unattended backpack or a package wrapped up or like a Christmas gift or anything else, you see it, whether you're at a restaurant, inside a mall, or at a church. If you see it, notify somebody with a badge.
Oh, yes.
And you're home today, especially if you have lived with, worked in certain arenas where people might not have liked what you did. If you see a vehicle that you don't normally see driving up and down your street, maybe a couple of times a day, maybe at different times during the day or at night, especially in a place where you know your neighbors and you know them pretty well, you know what kind of cars they drive, this would be a good time to get a tag number and even a photograph. Something I want to add that we should practice every day. If someone you don't recognize knocks on your door, rings your doorbell. My mom used to say, well, she just wouldn't answer the door. Well, the problem with that is they go around to the back door. They don't think anybody's home. That knocks is a pretext from daytime burglars. That is a pretext. You don't answer that front door, they go around to the back door and they will jimmy it with a crowbar or whatever. That's the bad thing about something like that.
Ring it.
Here they got a little bit more of a problem because there's only one door that's exposed to the environment out there, and that's our front door. The rest of it, you got to either have a key, code, or jump a fence. When you choose to go to your front door, hopefully you have a storm door. Do you guys have a second door at your
Yes, which
Yes, I
stays
think
locked.
front? Keep it locked.
Mine stays locked.
It's not going to stop them from coming in, but it will slow them down.
Mm-hmm.
Open the front door just enough to say, what do you want? If you got a Ring doorbell, you can do that over the electronic part of it without even opening the front door. If you open your door and to talk to them, you should keep it in your hand so you can close it immediately. Have that little latch latched. So when you close it, it automatically closes, then put the deadbolt on. When you're inside your home, when you're outside your home, keep all of your doors locked, inside and out. If you go outside to work during the day, mow the grass, trim the lawn, you will be out of sight of perhaps this open garage door that you have down here. You don't want to come back and find somebody has use that open garage door to get inside your home, do you? Huh? Lock it. like all your doors that you can't see. Keep a key on you. If you work outside, you really need to pay attention to that because people watch you. They'll develop whatever patterns you have. And when you're suddenly out of sight, that's when they'll make their move. They can be in and clean you out unless they have nefarious things they want to do to you.
Nefarious.
They can be, if they want to hurt you, they'll wait for you. And you're not going to be prepared when you walked in from mowing the lawn. You know, it's going to be sweaty and grassy.
I keep my doors shut when I'm mowing the lawn.
Do you keep them locked?
The front door, when I'm mowing the front, I do not because I can see the front door at all times. But the back doors are locked. When I go into the backyard to mow, I lock the front door. And I have just only my garage door open, which I can see full time. So I'm very, very security minded.
The best deterrent inside a home when you're there or when you're not there?
Right.
Dogs.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Not that they're going to attack anybody. Maybe they're just really friendly and they bark a lot.
I have so many neighbors that are walking down the street or people that are going for morning walks, evening walks, and they always look towards my house because that's all they can hear is the dogs.
Yep. Well, that's good. Bad guys don't like the attention the dogs bring.
Right.
So those are just some little tidbits of people. This is just from the normal domestic violence idiots out there, or domestic thieves and stuff, sneak thieves. For the terrorists, really pay attention to your surroundings when you're shopping. You do know we read about them all the time in other countries. Where are bad guys going to pick? The areas where a lot of people congregate, civilians.
Right.
Well, definitely where tourists are.
Tourists, primary target overseas.
Absolutely. And, that's one thing.
Easy access places, Western and Country Club. Western Country Club, easy access to get elsewhere. Western and Western and Marine Boulevard.
Right.
But,
fast exits.
If you're an American and you're traveling overseas, don't dress like an American. Don't call attention to yourself.
Leave them home.
But also, college or
Casio.
sports teams attire. That's a dead giveaway that you're an American.
Yeah. Keep cheap watches on you when you're walking in public.
Oh, yeah. They don't be out there wearing a Rolodex.
Leave your wedding bands, your jewelry, especially diamonds. Men, wedding bands don't matter too much, but women, leave your flaunty jewelry home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your expensive looking clothes. Whether that's the only one that you got and you just want to wear it, no, calls attention to yourself.
You don't want,
They'll follow you back to your hotel.
I've sat in Ireland with family and friends there. We've sat and watched, and we play a game. American, French, there's certain tourists you can pick out.
Yep.
We'll just sit there, and we usually have the winner gets XYZ, whatever we deem as going to be our prize. But Americans are always going to be targets because A, they don't know how to act. They act a pure entitled fool, and it's embarrassing. But B, when you come in there with your, Duke sweatshirt or your NC State hat or whatever, you're a dead giveaway. You're an American. Get past it, or your, Dallas Cowboys T-shirt. Okay. Some of that stuff, unless you're there, like the team is actually playing, they play overseas games, then you can wear that stuff. But other than that, don't do it. You're a target.
When I travel, mostly it's because I'm going diving somewhere. But do you think I buy those nice, expensive little bags that got divers flags on them and all the little things that say
because it makes you
that's touristy. Dive equipment inside. All dive equipment's expensive. Right?
Very much so. Yes.
You going to do that? No, don't. Or go to the surplus store, get yourself a military deployment bag or whatever. I carried a sea bag for years until I found these things with wheels on them. Now I carry those. Before I just wore this big old thing on my back to get it to the check-in counter. They think it's even at the airport, baggage handlers or whatever, they've been known over the years. They've run security on them. They don't do it so much anymore, but they used to be, there's a dive bag right there.
Right.
Let me pop that lock, or, pocket knife, and I can pop that lock. Here's a bolt cutter. Because you don't ever put big locks on them. Nobody does. You put those cheap little $1.50 locks, pop it with a pair of pliers. No problem.
Sometimes they'll cut the locks off.
What's what I'm talking about? You can
Yes,
pop a
they
lock
will.
with a pair of pliers.
Yeah.
Those cheap locks.
Yeah.
Those that you buy at the dime store, you get with your luggage. Wrong. But carry something like that, and you don't know what airport they stole it from. That's the problem.
True
If
that.
you went through multiple airports and luggage, and when was it? No, forget it. You'll never get it back. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone.
What
So
was
just carry a military surplus bag they think is dirty underwear in it.
what was the name of the guy that dressed like a woman that worked for the Biden administration that was stealing luggage? What was
Hold on,
his
I'll tell you
name?
his name.
yeah,
Hold
I
on.
forgot.
Yeah, look it up.
Um,
He was stealing expensive luggage. She's gonna look it up. I know what his name is,
I
but
can see his
right
face
now,
with
yeah,
that red lipstick on.
yeah, his bald head and
hold
red
on.
lipstick.
Sam Brenton.
That's it.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I wonder whatever happened to him.
Where's
He was-
everybody today? I mean,
he
we're-
was charged a
with
bunch
all
of
the
times.
attacks and everything that
Yeah.
we've got going on. Today's day 2 of this week, and where's all your reaction? Are you concerned about? I'm not concerned about an invasion of the United States because they got to get here, and we do have a lot of folks out between
Yeah,
here and
just
there.
Sleeper cells.
Sleeper cells, one thing.
Mhm.
Not even cells, though. I'm just thinking about little small groups of thugs right now. They create a lot of hate and discontent. I mean, there are a couple of Russians up at this place up there. Where was that little place up there in Boston, Massachusetts, a few years back? All they had was some pressure cookers.
Yeah. They watched a YouTube video.
Look,
Oh, yeah.
look what they
They
did.
did. They watched a YouTube video on how to do
Without instructions from anybody else. A couple of pressure cooker bombs, IEDs. So I'm not worried about so much the very large groups of well-organized people carrying AK-47s. I'm worried about thugs. And they can create a lot of hate and discontent at any public event or in any grocery store or any places having a sale.
it. I agree with
They
that.
get a lot of women that way, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Did you hear about Hilton Head? Had another shark bite Sunday.
Oh
Second one in a week.
no! But we
Sharks are
have to talk
feasting down there at Hilton Head.
about- Did you hear about Myrtle Beach this weekend?
No, I was there this weekend. What happened? I went
Folks
Saturday
were
for the day.
claiming that there was a submarine in the water.
Oh yeah, and it was a school of fish. I watched that video. I'm like, y'all
It's
don't know
a
what a
big
school
old
of
school.
fish looks
They
like.
had the Coast Guard out there, and then lifeguards were first telling everybody get out of the water. First of all, a submarine's not
all,
going to come that close.
That it would have grounded. I
Yes.
watched the video yesterday while we were sitting in here. Matter of fact, and
It
I'm like,
was-
this fool must whatever he was drinking. I want some of it.
There were
Like,
several videos. with
whatever
people
that
That
guy
might
had.
fry your brain to what he
can
was drinking.
Yeah,
He was
I
on his
sent that to
balcony,
Rayford.
and
I
I'm
thought
like-
that was so funny.
It is a school of fish. A toddler could have noticed that, but okay,
It's
clearly
probably a bait ball because they appear very
That's what it
dark,
looked like.
dark
Yeah.
in the water.
not. Exactly what
A
it looked
lot
like.
of menhaden circling and circling and circling generally when they get close to shore. And one of the telltale signs there will be you're going to see little fish jumping as the best Spanish mackerel will be with them, mixed in among them.
right.
And so will be the king mackerel.
And I'd be
and
worried
then-
about the sharks following that
And
bait
then
ball.
you will see,
Mhm.
yeah, well, they'll be down deep, but you will see the menhaden are going to be flipping, jumping a little bit here, a little bit. Put your binoculars on them, you'll see. And if they're moving in a circle and moving in a direction, it looks like a hurricane sometimes spinning as it's moving, rotating, because that's the way they do. They're feeding a little tiny schools of fish. You got the menhaden feeding on those, then you got the Spanish mackerel feeding on the menhaden, and the king mackerel feeding on the menhaden and the Spanish mackerel.
Yeah, I mean,
They eat their own cousins.
I swear, I think it was Jaws dressed as a submarine just to scare the
No,
people.
at that video, he put it was a bait
joke.
ball.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Joke,
please
Ellie.
don't tell me you actually think that that's what that was.
I said it was Jaws dressed as a submarine.
Well, I think this dude ought to be embarrassed. And he ought to, I mean,
Better
Dude.
safe than sorry.
Well, yeah,
Way
I
from-
would have thought it was a big fish before I would have thought it was a submarine.
that
But
close
I
to
know
shore.
it's a school of fish.
Yes.
How many? Let me
Yes.
just give you guys just a little scenario here. Okay, you ready?
Right.
Let's just suppose Myrtle Beach is a tourist area, right?
Correct.
Oh, well, that
You think this
explains
guy
it.
came from the coast
That's
somewhere
right.
that he even has seen fish and real fish up close
Okay,
and
good
personal?
point.
He's from Missouri. Now we move on.
Good point.
So
Well, that was like
Seriously.
somebody on the Sneed's Ferry page last week was posting pictures of a yacht traveling at high speed, and everybody was panicked over it. And I'm like, who is this? Where are they going? And I'm like, I don't know.
what is high speed?
Yeah.
Got
20
me.
20
What, they
knots?
go 35 is the highest they go?
No, there's no such thing as highest. I can go whatever. And how big was the yacht? Yatchet.
I don't know.
Most really big yachts are going to be offshore.
Nobody ran out there and measured. It was just.
Were they just
a
mad? They
post.
thought you saying they were upset? They thought he was going to.
No, it was like the tone was almost like it was an enemy in a yacht, and they were heading across the water and traveling too fast, and what was going on. I mean, I'm like, really?
Get a life.
Really?
That's all I'll tell you. Get a life. All right. Right now, they don't have to travel in a coastal waterway. They can go offshore. Calm seas.
Good.
It's been very rough for the last few weeks, and you had to pick your days. Right now, we got pretty much all week. We got some hot conditions too. High pressure holding the waves down. Out to 20 nautical miles today. Northwesterly winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming southeasterly this afternoon. Seas 2 to 3 feet. They're only 4 seconds apart.
Yes.
Sounds and rivers a light chop tomorrow. Southwesterly winds around 5 knots. Seas only 2 feet. Yay. Sounds and rivers flatter than who. Y'all ever see any movies or TV shows or anything with Twiggy in them back in the day?
I've seen a movie with her in it. Yeah.
Keep a lookout for approaching thunderstorms tomorrow, and be prepared to move if you're offshore, especially if you do see lightning popping anywhere and you got outriggers or tall antennas or whatever in your boat. Put them down. You're gonna be the highest thing on the water anyway. Don't put any metal up. That's even worse. Thursday, southwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 3 feet. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop. Otherwise, it's gonna be
It's going to be very hot. Today, mostly sunny and hot, high of 99, with our heat index value as high as 112. We're under a heat
good
warning.
God.
Tonight, mostly clear, low of 76, calm winds tonight. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 96. The heat index value tomorrow is 110. It's a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms after 2 p.m. tomorrow, but with our luck, it won't happen. Tomorrow night, but partly cloudy, low of 72. And on Thursday, mostly sunny, a high of 91.
Cold front coming through.
Down to 91. Yeah.
Wow. Woo-hoo.
The mess over the weekend has got a lot of folks in this country on edge. They're being very careful, and we've got a big holiday coming up.
Yes, we do.
Next week is our Independence Day. So gatherings, traveling, don't telegraph your moves when you're gone from home. Don't let everybody know where you are, and keep your butt off social media. You can post pictures of you in your barely there bathing suit once you get back home if you want. Don't tell everybody where you are when you're on vacation.
And a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
I might post a picture after I get back,
Yeah,
but I
you're better
certainly
off.
don't get on social media and say, "Hey, I'm in New York."
Yeah,
or,
my
"Hey, I'm
house
in
is vacant.
Florida."
Come on down while you're
the
inside
house is
cleaning up.
unlocked. Help yourself.
But
Well, my house is never vacant when I travel, but
Well,
I hear
understand.
you.
The Islamist government, they've been leveling death threats to Americans and to Israelis for quite some time.
Yes, they
Yeah.
Plotting assassinations right now. They've been doing that for quite a while. Death to America, death to Israel. Well, are these words that they're telegraphing, that they're sending and via the mass media to the people that they've got in this country? Maybe people who came here without the intention of doing any harm, but maybe they're being radicalized while they're here by like-minded people. I'm sure our intelligence services are monitoring, but the primary intelligence service that would be doing things like that really are not supposed to be acting on U.S. soil. except for certain conditions. CIA doesn't, they don't get on patrol the streets looking for bad people.
Right.
But they're and then we've got the protesters trying to protest against ICE doing its job, and ICE is being backed up, of course, by when you see those protesters being arrested. You see the people wearing ICE jackets. You see them wearing everything from NCIS jackets to ATF jackets, firearms, ATF. They're all federal cops, y'all. Just because a game warden is out there on the streets of North Carolina on the water or in the woods, guess what he can do? He's got more power in the state of North Carolina than any other cop that I can think of. He can arrest you for fishing laws violations, hunting wrong. He can arrest you for speeding down the highway, DWI on the road, on the water. He can arrest you for bank robbery. He can arrest you for any crime that you commit in North Carolina.
Nice.
I'm telling you, a game warden has got more power.
They do. I agree with that statement.
Than any other cop
I like
in
it.
North Carolina. So I don't know where these people are that have come into this country, because they came here illegally. Those who came here illegally and we gave them chits and show up for court. Well, no, that's not happening. Nobody puts out the figures about how many of these individuals that our Border Patrol were forced to give for 4 years to give them show up for court. How many of them ever showed up? How many of them were ever granted a right to stay here? How many are still here illegally who came across the border and we turned them loose in society on us?
A lot. That's kind of what ICE is rounding up now.
That's what they're trying to round up.
Well, till fools are giving them heads up.
Yeah. I get irritated with what we've already done and what we're now trying to correct, and then the protesters that are out there trying to stop us from correcting the problems that were created before. It's our fault for allowing it to happen. I got to blame Border Patrol for some of it, because they should have stood their ground. Yes, they would have been fired, but they could have raised enough cane that probably if every Border Patrol agent was fired for doing their job, then guess what? Talk about suits against the country, and they would win. They would win.
Yeah, but I don't think.
So they should. Too bad they didn't do it. Okay, back to the left coast. What's happened?
I personally blame Dan Quayle for everything.
Dan Quayle, why?
Because somebody.
You got to blame somebody.
I agree with that.
So I'm not sure what sort of power President Donald J. Trump, who I actually think he's too liberal for me. I know that you guys are too liberal as well. I'm super conservative. Let me ask you a question. If I was president of the United States of America, starting tomorrow, I would say, listen, Joe Biden's regime, actually Barack Obama's regime, they allowed 20 million people into the United States of America. They've been getting free health care. They've been getting EBT cards. They've been getting, residency in hotels. All that ends tomorrow. What's going to happen if they flip a switch and these people no longer have access to free food, free insurance, and free living expenses?
They're going to make their way home, or they're going to riot.
I agree with that.
Those with families are going to go back to where they came from.
Yeah,
I don't understand why they haven't cut off all these benefits. I don't get it
either.
I don't get it. All right, you guys have a good day. Take care.
You see all of those ads that are running now about how Trump is cutting out all the Medicare and this and that and all the people. He's reducing Medicare. He's reducing Medicare. Oh my God, we're all you and I. We're going to be hurt because our Medicare is going to be reduced. No, it's not ours. They're taking it away from 8 million people or 12 million people, whatever number of illegals that are here that are getting it. They're taking it away from them. That's what they're doing. Well, good. There's some tax dollars I don't have to pay. Give
I
them,
just-
give them a ride to the border. If you came across the southern border from Mexico, there's no reason we can't put you back at that border and force you to leave this country via the same route that you came here on. I don't care. I don't care what your conditions are in your country. That's up to you to change them. We didn't like the conditions in this country on any number of occasions, and we changed them. We changed our government. We changed those in charge. And in some places, we don't have to, thank God, because we got vote. But y'all need to go back and organize and fight. You cannot just leave that country in the hands of dictating, murdering scum. You need to mount, and you want to know an insurrection, just mount an overthrow of the government. Because I will guarantee you the people in any country outnumber the people in the military and the government. That would include the military. How many, not that we are in bad shape, because we're in great shape. How many members of our armed forces are there today, active and reserve?
I can't even guess.
Last time I checked, it was like
Accurately.
1.2 million.
Yes.
All branches. That's all we have. How many hunters, licensed hunters? Now, hunters have guns. You understand? How many licensed hunters are there in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia? More than that.
Mhm.
We have more armed hunters, and they're people who qualify the range.
Right.
They shoot pretty well.
Yes.
Because they want to bring meat home, right?
Yes.
We have more armed hunters than we have members of our military, and that's just in 4 states.
Right.
With licenses, probably more than that in some of those. West Virginia, not everybody gets a license. So I'm saying other countries, they have ways to get rid of, to overthrow their governments if they don't like them. Yes, going up against armed militia, armed military people, it's a tough job to do.
Yes.
But you hunt deer from afar and you're sneaky.
I agree. Yeah.
If you want to overthrow your
Poor
country,
Bambi.
if you want to overthrow your country in Nicaragua, your government in Nicaragua, you're first going to have to find out who's willing to do it. Then you got to make sure you got plenty of people and resources. Then you're going to have to make sure, okay, now what happens when we do this? Who are we going to put in there? So you're going to have to figure out what kind of government you want. You're going to have to write a constitution. You're going to have to take matters into your own hands and quit counting on us to give you food. We can give you military support if you're going to be overthrowing a radical regime like in Honduras, Nicaragua. Colombia doesn't have one. They just got drug cartel. But if you want to get rid of these people, Haiti, Venezuela, those are easy. You can put together an army to take over Venezuela, no problem.
Well, I got a story for you, bringing it back to North Carolina and the DMV. The state auditor, Dave Bullock, has just released a preliminary audit findings on his audit he did on the DMV, because, the state pays the DMV, their contract agencies that we go to
If I'm
get our
license agencies is what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, DMV encompasses a big group.
Well, it covers what I'm getting ready to tell
Okay.
you about. But he said that our data-driven analysis indicates that current DMV workforce levels are insufficient to meet the needs of North Carolinians.
My God, he had to do an audit.
To provide citizens a service level they expect and deserve, the DMV must have more employees in its offices. And he said he's already shared these observations with the governor, Senator Berger, Speaker Hall, Secretary Hopkins, and DMV Commissioner Tyne. Preliminary results on DMV staffing indicate that additional driver license examiners are necessary to meet public demand and reduce wait times at driver license offices across the state.
Yep.
Flexibility in current personnel rules is necessary to allow the DMV to hire and retain staff more effectively. And effective strategies are necessary to fill vacancies. The DMV's current reliance on temporary positions creates challenges. Temporary positions are harder to fill, offer fewer benefits, and result in additional training costs due to high turnover. Of the DMV's 142 temporary examiner positions, 97, which is 68%, remain vacant. Given the DMV commissioner flexibility to convert temporary positions to permanent roles and adjusting pay scales based on local labor market conditions, which may help attract and retain qualified examiners.
Okay, this is only speaking of the DMV branch that handles driver's licenses, not the DMV for license plates.
Yeah, this is the DMV. Well,
you better check that one out too.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, but he will be releasing once the final report is ready. And he says it will identify more details of staffing requirements, including driver license office locations where additional personnel will have the most immediate impact. So they will be releasing that soon. But
the driver's license office here in Jacksonville,
really,
it's good. I mean,
yes.
I've been going there since I was 16 years old.
Yes.
Okay? It's fine.
Me too.
But however, it's the same size as it was in 1964
Yes.
when I got a driver's license.
That's an old building.
I mean, it's been there. It hasn't
Smells like
really
mold.
improved a lot
Right.
because the state has not done its job. They have not. I mean, they live in a Taj Mahal up there in Raleigh. Everything is in a Taj Mahal in Raleigh
Right.
that's owned by the state. Got it?
Right.
Down here on the coast, we're the armpit. They don't care about us. We're the extreme. They don't care about the coastal region at all. They care about the tourism area of the mountains. They don't care about the coastal area for anything, because most of the people that come here on tour for vacation, they're from up in your area, Raleigh, Charlotte, whatever. They don't care about us, folks. Have you not gotten that through your heads yet?
It's a shame that the office of the state auditor had to spend money on an audit, because we all could have told him the same thing he just found.
Come and sit down here for a minute, and we could get 2 hours worth of phone calls and give you all you need to know.
But I am glad, though, that since he's been elected,
he's justifying his existence.
He's been out there doing it. He's been hitting them hard, so everywhere. So thank you, Mr. Buliak, for what you do.
We got Dr. Rose tomorrow, right?
Yes, we do.
We got any questions for her today?
Not as of yet.
Theo, you got any more questions for Dr. Rosemary Stein
tomorrow?
tomorrow? We need some more questions. Your questions are always good, and sometimes we get caught up in the middle of things.
I think it's really important that we once again talk about heat stress on children and what to do if you feel like your child has been affected by the heat.
No, don't allow them to do that.
Right.
Just stay on top of it.
Stay inside.
Plan in advance and
Yes.
allow for downtime. Their end time to eat lunch and everything else is in the heat of the day. Let them bring them in, cool them down. It does not hurt to give a kid a shower 3 times a day.
Well,
because that will cool your body
agree.
temperature down a lot.
I got so hot in the yard Sunday that I knew I was getting close.
Yep.
So I came in and took off my wet soaking clothes, but I had to sit for about
You did come in
30
first,
minutes. Right? What?
You came in first, right?
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
All right, just check.
I did. Okay, so I took off the necessary outerwear. Okay, but I had to sit down for about 30 minutes and just let my body relax and cool off before I could even take a shower. I was that hot.
Yeah.
So, and I used to have to give a lot of safety talks at the post office to the carriers when we had these hot days. You want to start drinking the night before water. Start hydrating the night before, and don't wait till you get out there in the heat, and start hydrating your body well.
Yeah, it gets and drink a lot of water. Drink a lot of Gatorade or whatever.
Water
you
is
want.
the best thing for you.
It is the best thing. But if you and get the fluid circulating.
That's
and
right.
If you understand what I mean,
That's
once you
right.
deplete the fluid, either sweat or whatever, then add more to it. Just keep filling it up. And
Exactly.
you keep that flow going. First of all, that cleans out crap you got in you.
When I had to deliver, I used to take washcloths and wet them really good and then put them in baggies
Yeah.
and freeze them and then throw them in my cooler. So by midday, if my face was hot, that just bothered me the most. And so I could take the washcloth out and wash my face and arms. And
One of the things that a guy gave me one time, and I bought a few caps with it, it was what they called a gel bandana,
had those.
and you soak them in water.
Right.
Now you can put them in the refrigerator. You can put them in the freezer. I put them in the refrigerator. I didn't like ice thing on my back,
On my neck.
but I
hurts.
would have several of them. And when I on a boat or wherever I was going to be out working, where it was hot or doing things where it was hot, and
Right.
then I had the ball cap that would fit up there with a little gel band inside. I haven't seen those in a long time,
Wow.
but those suckers work. They wear out.
They have cooling cloths now
Oh, yeah.
that are supposed to keep you cool.
But you could, even if you're just outside mowing the lawn or whatever, you can put it in
Right.
some cold water inside your house. Put some bowl
Right.
full of water with some ice in it. Put it in there. Have one as a spare.
I
Keep
take a
rotating
wet
it.
towel and put it around my
Wet
neck.
towel's
when I'm
good,
out
but
there
they
mowing.
dry
It
out very
feels so
quickly.
good.
The gel, when it cools down,
I'm not out
wet,
there long
it's-
enough, Rayford.
Oh,
I've got mine down to a science.
well,
I
look at
can
you.
knock my
But
yard out in a heartbeat.
those things work, and they kept me cool. And on the boat, that my buddy, he was charter fishing. He always carried his doggy with him, and it gets hot out there on a boat. So, got him a gel mat for his doggy.
So many different things. If anybody's got any of their own ideas
So,
or suggestions, need to call
that
in.
worked pretty well too.
Right.
And for your doggies inside the house,
Keep 'em in the
think
house.
about places where they can stay cool. Cats like to get outside and stay in the sun, but my
They
gosh,
do.
that will bake their brains out.
Mine
too.
gets out there and gets underneath the grill and just lays there in the shade. I keep taking them water out there trying, but yeah,
Especially when
he's-
it's a black cat. That just soaks up all the heat, right?
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
Well, my cat's orange. He looks like he's on fire.
Yeah.
There
So
you go.
anyway, we'll talk to Dr. Rose tomorrow about
Yes.
kitties and us, but especially kitties. We don't have common sense. So what we need to do is take care of the kids. And while you're at it, think about, hey, that would be a good idea for me too.
Yeah, plan ahead for these hot days, activities and stuff, that you can get out of the closet, some game boards.
Beach
or
umbrellas,
something.
beach umbrellas, and beach umbrellas. If you're going to the beach to bake your brains and your body,
Whew.
have some place that you can get underneath and out in the shade and out of the direct heat. Yeah, you can get burned underneath in the shade under a beach
Got
umbrella.
the
You
perfect
understand that?
solution.
What's that?
Go get them some swimming lessons during these hot days.
Where? We got
At
to
a
wait till next
swimming
year.
pool.
Got to wait till next year.
No, I mean,
Down here, other
I'm
counties have got it.
sure, like the American Red Cross used to do them at
Where?
local. Rayford, we may have to go to Newburgh or something.
Uh-huh.
But you know what? We've been lucky so far this summer. Nothing within this area. So.
Wouldn't it be cool, since there are a lot of nice beaches, a lot of nice pools at Camp Lejeune,
Yes.
recreation stuff?
Well,
Is
you-
if a time could be figured out in the interim, especially waiting for our pool to be completed, if a pool could be, if a time could be figured out that like once a week, a busload of civilians could be picked up
Mm-hmm.
after they're screened. Parents can't come along, and they take them out to pools and at the base and
Right.
teach them to swim.
Right.
Get civilian instructors, do
All
whatever.
right. Swimming lessons, this is on the city website, will be offered this summer for children up to 16 years of age. We have various times to fit your needs. The location is the Reserve Apartments at Jacksonville Commons, 500
Oh,
Talon Drive.
that's new.
Registration is required and can be done online or in person at our administrative office, which is located at 100 Recreation Lane.
Are they limited to a number of kids?
They have not said. I imagine that
They will be. They have to be.
it says introduction to the class description is introduction to water level 1 for the child who has desire to learn is potty trained and can separate from parent. Then they have level 2 for the child who will submerge mouth, nose, and eyes, blow bubbles through the mouth and nose, comfortable maintaining front back float, and recover to standing position. Swim on front and back, explores arm and leg action for at least 5 feet with support. Gosh, I didn't realize I was so technical. Level 3 for the child who submerge head in a rhythmic pattern, open eyes underwater, pick up submerged object, comfortable floating face down, push off from edge on front or back, and glide unassisted, roll over from front to back, back to front, combine arm leg action using any combination of simultaneous action on front and back.
Can you do that? You thought you could.
It didn't seem, I mean, I can swim from back and I can dive, but I don't
Can
do
roll
that
over
anymore.
and over and
but-
over and over.
No, I don't do that anymore. But right now they have all these different levels of session 1 from June 16th to 26th. And they have the days of the week for the different levels, the different times.
Today is the 24th of June.
And they've got June 30th through July 10th, July 14th through July.
Okay.
Well, this is an error right here because they have July 14th through July 4th.
Whoops.
So, anyway, and then July 28th through August 7th. So it goes all through the summer, ending August 21st. So that is the city of Jacksonville. So I would encourage those that would like, these really hot days, the kids can get out there in the water and learn to swim, and
They can develop some comfort. And,
yes, I'm gonna put
and they can
link.
they'll feel
here.
better about themselves, and being comfortable in the water is the first step.
It's better than sitting at home and getting into trouble.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. And speaking of such, not that this child did anything wrong, and I don't mean that.
Yeah, who did?
But in Gastonia yesterday, 2 parents were sentenced to felony abuse of a child, neglect. And what happened was they allowed their 7-year-old to walk to the store with another child, no supervision. And they were
Ouch.
charged, and the child on the way back tried to cross the road and was struck and hit by a car. The couple pled guilty to felony child abuse, inflicting serious injury. And they appeared in court yesterday, I believe it was, and they were sentenced. The father was sentenced to a suspended sentence
Sure.
of 19 to 32 months and 36 months probation. And he convinced his wife to allow Lejeune in. Oh, yeah, okay. Because he's taken the blame, saying he convinced his wife to let the child
Yeah.
walk. Still the same. Both parents were charged with felony involuntary manslaughter, felony child neglect,
Oh, so the kid
and
died.
misdemeanor child neglect following the incident. She got some probation too in the other story that I read. But yeah, allowing your 7-year-old with another small child to walk to the store and back, unsupervised, unattended.
Well, I
Why?
remember walking to the store. It was about 500 feet from my house over there on Elizabeth Street when we lived over there.
But you didn't have to cross a road. I mean, you had
Elizabeth Street.
Elizabeth
Walking
Street.
from Elizabeth Street out to, of course, store at the intersection of 17 Marine Boulevard. I call it now,
right.
and Elizabeth Street. I walked out there.
Terrible.
Never forget, I was carrying a bottle of a 6-pack of soft drinks bottles, empty bottles.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just had the money to get a replacement 6-pack,
Right.
but I also had 2 extra bottles in there that I found, and I got to keep the 4 cents. I would have been able to keep the 4 cents from the sale of those 2 bottles. The others were exchanges. You used to get 2 cents a bottle.
Mm.
We'd pick them up everywhere. So I would get 4 cents for that if I had gotten there with all of them intact. But I dropped the carton, which I had the 2 bottles lying
Right.
precariously along with the 6 bottles. And one of the bottles broke, inside the carton. I didn't realize the bottom was broken, and I was swinging it after I picked everything else up, and it cut my back of my leg. I had a big old scar
Holy
there from.
moly.
It's probably still back there. I just can't see it anymore.
I just like,
God, that just brought back painful memories.
yeah.
Blood everywhere.
Ouch.
On this date, the year was 1997. You know what happened?
Can't say that I remember particularly.
A report that was 50 years in the making, summed up in 231 pages.
And that would be
A report about a place called Roswell, New Mexico.
Eh.
It dismissed this Operation Blue Book, the Air Force Blue Book investigation. Longstanding claims of an alien spacecraft crash. It took 50 years. 1947 is when all of that started.
Was that the Idaho pilot who saw the supersonic UFO zoom past Mount Rainier?
It got nothing to do with Roswell, New Mexico.
Okay, well, it's close. When you're in the sky.
If you look at a map, it's just a few inches away, but that's about the closest as it is. There was a whole lot of interest in UFOs, unidentified flying objects,
Mm-hmm.
In the 1940s, especially beginning about 1947, when developments in space travel and the dawn of the atomic age caused a whole bunch of us to turn their attention to the sky. The town of Roswell, located near the Pecos River in southeastern New Mexico, became a magnet for UFO believers due to the strange events of early July 1947, when a ranch foreman, W.W. Brazel, found a strange, shiny material scattered over some of his land. He turned the material over to the sheriff, who passed it on to authorities at the nearby Air Force Base. On the 8th of July, Air Force officials announced they had recovered the wreckage of a flying disc.
Yeah, that's the story I was referring to. Yeah.
All of those reports in those days had flying saucers. They called it a flying disc. A local newspaper put the story on its front page, and suddenly Roswell was launched into the spotlight of the public's UFO fascination.
Yeah, and that was, I'm reading here where Kenneth Arnold on June 24th, 1947, private pilot claimed he saw a string of 9 shiny, unidentified flying objects flying past, like I said, Mount Rainier.
Everything's unidentified until you identify it.
Crazy. We have Steve on the phone.
Hey, Steve, what's up, bud? Have you got any flying saucers in your neck? I want to see a flying saucer. You got one?
I can just throw one out.
Not today.
Oh, shoot.
I was going to say, y'all know me. I'll be late to my own funeral, man. Calling in at the last minute.
I'm going to start calling you in the mornings, wake you up.
I hear you. I was actually getting my oil changed. I was going to call y'all, but I was in a room full of people, so I decided to wait till I got out of there.
You invited them to listen.
Yeah, they would have enjoyed you.
Well, they were listening to you whether they liked it or not, but they didn't have to hear me talk. Hey, something I wanted to throw out there, and I didn't catch all the details of the whole conversation when you were talking about people that had committed heinous crimes and the people in the community refused to cooperate with the cops to tell them who it was.
Yep.
What popped in my mind is I've heard that scenario before, and I've also heard where people didn't want to tell the cops who it was because they didn't want the cops to protect that person from the community.
Seen that happen.
And I don't know that was that situation or not, but I know that I have seen before, even in my own life, where people didn't tell the police because they wanted to handle it themselves.
I've told the story sometime or another in the past, but back in the day, we had a series of fires in Wilmington, 3 different fires over a period of about a week in the same neighborhood, same block, and a very old group of people lived there. What they call a predominantly black neighborhood. And these folks have been around for quite a while. Then they had some young people moving in, and rascals, as one guy called them. And I went over with a new reporter that I had to kind of show him the ropes. I was the boss. So I went over with to accompany him. And he couldn't get anybody to talk to him officially. You know, the fire department was there, the house fire. And I'm looking over right next door, and there's a guy on the rocking chair over there. There's an old guy. And I said, okay. And I took the wireless mic, put it in my pocket, stuck the mic itself on my lapel, and I walked up. I said, and thank God I had a photographer who knew what he could read my instructions without me having to give him any. And I walked over and I said, hey, man, can I sit here and talk with you for a minute? And he said, sure, go ahead. So we just chatted about everything, including the weather, as my photographer standing down there popped him up, popped the camera on him. Now, these are cameras, when the cameras were real cameras, big ones. So he's rolling. And I said, these house fires you had in here, you think any of them are kind of connected? He said, I do. He said, what's going on? And we, after some general conversation, he said, well, some people just don't understand. You move into a nice neighborhood and you bring your drug stuff with you. We don't like it. We don't like it. They burned them out. It was as simple as that. They set fire to the places. There was no doubt about it. No way to prove it.
Yeah.
And nobody cared.
That's what I was going to say. You know, that's happened probably more times than
You got
people
it.
would have, you know, imagined.
No doubt about that either. So, I don't know about, the girl. I don't think it's that. I think the bullies in the neighborhood, the thugs in the neighborhood were part of this event at this party, this New Year's Eve party, the one I talked about years ago. I think that's what it was. And they're afraid. They were afraid of retaliation if they said anything. Because it wasn't just one guy. One guy pulled the trigger, but there was a whole bunch of thugs there.
Right.
Yeah.
And that could be the case as well.
Yeah.
You know, it could be out of fear or, but I just wanted to offer that alternative scenario out there because I know you probably ran into it too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta, things happen.
Like I say, I've seen it even in my own family where they're like, no, we don't have no idea.
Not a thing.
And we knew exactly who it was. And we didn't, murder nobody, but
somebody got their butt beat.
Oh, yeah.
you got handled.
I understand.
Yeah.
That was loud and clear. All right, Steve.
Anyway,
have a good one, sir. Trade. If you're playing
too.
outside and for the next day or so, don't.
Yeah. I was outside in the heat Sunday, and I was underneath the tent and even had fans on me, but I still was drenched, and it kind of put the monkey on my back a little bit. So I've been hiding from the sunshine yesterday and today.
Do you have is your guitar plugged into an amplifier and stuff, right? So it's got wires going to it?
Not really. I'm wireless. All my stuff is wireless, so I just have transmitters and receivers.
I got you. Okay, I was going to say, because you could get electrified with the water dripping off of you.
Yeah, and even my headphone microphone I've got is one for a fitness instructor, so when I sweat all over, it doesn't mess it up.
There you go. Good idea.
Yeah, I thought ahead on that one.
All right, well, have fun. Play safe.
Be careful.
You too. Y'all guys have a blessed day.
You too. Orky dorky.
I just reading about a new COVID variant that's out right now.
They got a new one
called razor blade throat. It's a Nimbus type COVID thing, and it's hitting 14
razor
states.
Blade.
Yeah,
throat.
they say the one of the things from it is your throat is so sore, it's like a razor blade has gone down it. All right.
Who invented this one?
I don't know.
Did this one come from Wuhan?
I'm tired of hearing the word COVID.
I'm
done with it.
If we find out a source of another COVID invasion, those folks need to understand we still got some bunker bombs left. We don't need to get this thing going on. Can you imagine if we had eliminated that when we first heard about it?
Seriously.
Yeah. That whistle of that bomb coming down and then boom. Okay, we will see you tomorrow morning.
Yes.
We'll try to be more sane than we are today. You're live and local Real Talk, where we're always awake, never woke. Have a great rest of your day. Stay cool.